Introduction. Imagine the following scenario. You're walking down a dimly lit street, and suddenly you hear a piercing scream. You start to run towards the sound and discover a woman lying on the ground, clearly in distress. She tells you that she has been attacked and robbed by an unknown assailant. What do you do next? This is where forensic psychology comes in. Forensic psychology plays a crucial role in solving crimes and bringing criminals to justice. In this video, we will explore the different ways forensic psychology contributes to solving crimes and how you can pursue a career in this exciting field. The first way that forensic psychology contributes to solving crimes is by helping law enforcement to understand the criminal mind. Forensic psychologists use their knowledge of human behavior and psychology to profile suspects, determine their motives, and understand their thought processes. This information can be used by law enforcement to identify and catch criminals. Research has shown that criminal profiling can be effective in helping to solve crimes. In a study published in the Journal of Police and Criminal Psychology, researchers found that when the FBI used criminal profiling, they were able to solve 42% of their cases. When they didn't use criminal profiling, they only solved 17% of their cases. Forensic psychology plays a critical role in the criminal justice system by using scientific methods and principles to aid in the investigation and prosecution of crimes. One of the ways that forensic psychology contributes to solving crimes is through criminal profiling, also known as offender profiling or behavioral profiling. Criminal profiling is the process of creating a psychological and behavioral portrait of an offender based on evidence from a crime scene and other sources of information. Forensic psychologists analyze crime scene evidence, witness statements, and other available information to develop a profile of the likely offender. This profile can include information about the offender's age, gender, personality traits, and possible motives. Criminal profiling has been used in a wide range of criminal investigations, from serial killers to terrorists, and has been shown to be effective in helping to identify and apprehend suspects. For example, criminal profiling was instrumental in catching the Unabomber, Ted Kaczynski. The FBI used criminal profiling techniques to identify him as a white male, with a background in mathematics, who had a grudge against technology. One of the key benefits of criminal profiling is that it provides law enforcement with a deeper understanding of the offender's thought processes, which can aid in the investigation and apprehension of suspects. Criminal profiling can also help investigators to prioritize leads and allocate resources more effectively. However, it is important to note that criminal profiling is not a perfect science and is not always accurate. Critics argue that criminal profiling can be subjective and may lead investigators to focus on the wrong suspect. It is important that criminal profiling is used in conjunction with other investigative techniques and that forensic psychologists are careful to avoid biases and assumptions when developing profiles. Forensic psychology and criminal profiling can be powerful tools in solving crimes. By using their knowledge of human behavior and psychology, forensic psychologists can help law enforcement to understand the criminal mind, develop offender profiles, and prioritize leads. While criminal profiling is not infallible, it has been shown to be effective in many cases and can be a valuable tool in the fight against crime. The second way that forensic psychology contributes to solving crimes is by conducting psychological evaluations of suspects. Forensic psychologists use various assessments to determine if a suspect is competent to stand trial, has a mental illness, or is at risk of reoffending. This information can be used by the court to make decisions about the suspect's trial and sentencing. The second way that forensic psychology contributes to solving crimes is through psychological evaluations of suspects. Forensic psychologists use various assessments and techniques to evaluate suspects and provide information about their mental state, personality, and behavior. This information can be used by the court to make decisions about the suspect's trial and sentencing. One of the most common psychological evaluations conducted by forensic psychologists is the competency evaluation. This evaluation is used to determine if a suspect is mentally capable of understanding the charges against them and assisting in their own defense. The evaluation may include interviews with the suspect, a review of medical and legal records, and psychological testing. The results of the evaluation can be used by the court to determine if the suspect is competent to stand trial. Forensic psychologists also conduct evaluations to determine if a suspect has a mental illness. These evaluations can be used to determine if the suspect is legally insane and not responsible for their actions, or if they are at risk of reoffending. Forensic psychologists may use a variety of assessment tools, including diagnostic interviews, psychological testing, and observation of behavior, to make these determinations. Another way that forensic psychologists contribute to solving crimes is through risk assessment. Forensic psychologists may evaluate suspects to determine their likelihood of reoffending, the level of risk they pose to society, and their potential for rehabilitation. This information can be used by the court to make decisions about the suspect's sentence and to determine appropriate treatment and supervision. Forensic psychologists also play a role in the evaluation of juvenile offenders. They may conduct assessments to determine the mental health needs of juvenile offenders and to provide recommendations for treatment and rehabilitation. They may also provide expert testimony in court to help judges and juries understand the mental state and behavior of juvenile offenders. Overall, psychological evaluations conducted by forensic psychologists can provide valuable information to the court in determining the mental state and behavior of suspects. This information can be used to make decisions about the suspect's trial, sentencing, and treatment. By providing accurate and objective evaluations, forensic psychologists can contribute to the fair and just administration of justice. Research has shown that psychological evaluations are essential in ensuring justice is served. In a study published in the Journal of Forensic Psychology Practice, researchers found that psychological evaluations help to reduce wrongful convictions by 18%. Psychological evaluations are a critical component of the criminal justice system, helping to ensure that justice is served and that the rights of suspects and defendants are protected. Research has shown that psychological evaluations can be essential in preventing wrongful convictions and ensuring that the mentally ill and vulnerable are treated fairly by the justice system. In a study published in the Journal of Forensic Psychology Practice, researchers found that psychological evaluations help to reduce wrongful convictions by 18%. This is because psychological evaluations can help to identify mental health issues that may impact a suspect's ability to understand the charges against them, assist in their own defense, or make rational decisions. Psychological evaluations can also provide valuable information about a suspect's history of mental illness, substance abuse, or trauma, which can be used to develop appropriate treatment and intervention plans. By identifying and addressing these underlying issues, psychological evaluations can help to reduce the risk of reoffending and promote successful rehabilitation. In addition to their role in reducing wrongful convictions and promoting fair treatment of suspects, psychological evaluations can also be used to provide important information to the court in determining appropriate sentences. For example, evaluations may be used to assess a suspect's level of dangerousness, their potential for rehabilitation, or their need for specialized treatment or supervision. Psychological evaluations are also important in cases involving juveniles, who may have unique mental health and developmental needs. Evaluations can help to identify the underlying factors that contributed to a juvenile's criminal behavior, such as trauma, abuse, or neglect, and provide recommendations for treatment and rehabilitation. Overall, research has demonstrated the critical role that psychological evaluations play in ensuring that justice is served and that the mentally ill and vulnerable are treated fairly by the justice system. By providing objective and accurate assessments of suspects and defendants, forensic psychologists can help to prevent wrongful convictions, promote rehabilitation, and ensure that justice is served for all. The third way that forensic psychology contributes to solving crimes is by providing expert testimony in court. Forensic psychologists can testify about the mental state of a suspect, the credibility of witnesses, and the effects of trauma on victims. Their testimony can help to clarify complex psychological issues for the judge and jury and can be instrumental in the outcome of a case. Research has shown that expert testimony can be persuasive in court. In a study published in the Journal of Applied Psychology, researchers found that expert testimony had a significant impact on the verdicts of mock jurors. The third way that forensic psychology contributes to solving crimes is through providing expert testimony in court. Forensic psychologists can provide expert opinions on a wide range of psychological issues, such as the mental state of a suspect, the credibility of witnesses, and the effects of trauma on victims. Their testimony can help to clarify complex psychological issues for the judge and jury and can be instrumental in the outcome of a case. Expert testimony can be particularly useful in cases where mental health issues or psychological factors are at play. For example, in cases where a suspect is claiming insanity, a forensic psychologist can provide expert testimony on the suspect's mental state and capacity at the time of the crime. Similarly, in cases where a victim has experienced trauma, a forensic psychologist can provide expert testimony on the effects of trauma on memory, behavior, and other psychological factors. Research has shown that expert testimony can be persuasive in court. In a study published in the Journal of Applied Psychology, researchers found that expert testimony had a significant impact on the verdicts of mock jurors. When expert testimony was presented, the jurors were more likely to find the defendant guilty and to recommend harsher sentences. This highlights the importance of expert testimony in shaping the perceptions and decisions of jurors. Forensic psychologists must be able to communicate complex psychological concepts in a way that is understandable to the judge and jury. They must also be able to withstand cross-examination and defend their opinions in court. This requires a combination of specialized knowledge and strong communication and interpersonal skills. Overall, expert testimony provided by forensic psychologists can play a critical role in the outcome of criminal trials. By providing objective and informed opinions on complex psychological issues, forensic psychologists can help to ensure that justice is served and that the rights of suspects, victims, and witnesses are protected. Conclusion: forensic psychology is a fascinating and exciting field that plays a critical role in solving crimes and bringing criminals to justice. By understanding the criminal mind, conducting psychological evaluations, and providing expert testimony in court, forensic psychologists can make a significant difference in the criminal justice system. If you're interested in pursuing a career in forensic psychology, there are many opportunities available. You can work as a consultant for law enforcement agencies, conduct research in academic settings, or work as an expert witness in court. Whatever path you choose, you can make a real difference in people's lives and contribute to making the world a safer place.